Hello, this is World University and Schools Live Hangout on Air on Monday, April 29th, 2019. And I'm Scott McLeod, and I'm thinking a friend whom I met at Stanford will join this live Hangout on Air, which is participatory. 10 people can join this Hangout. Perhaps you will too. Other people may join this Hangout in addition to my friend. So let's wait and see who and how people join. It's also possible to watch a live stream of this live Hangout on Air, which you could get to through the Twitter feed for World University and School or through the YouTube World University and School channel. It's not, there can be little complications in joining these Hangouts, so I may be getting my friend to join, and in the meantime, I would like to update a little bit about World University and School on the one hand, and the WUaS Press, WUaS Corp on the other hand. So World University and School is proceeding with Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education licensing, State of California's licensing process. And as we proceed with this, we will be preparing for matriculating students as soon as this is accepted and the fees are paid, accepted by the State of California's Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education. And at the same time, the WUA Press is developing, and that named CEO is Julian Dumitrascu in Romania, and he is currently little involved as we get our software up and running, potentially on a Google-centric platform. And that would inform, that software for the WUA Press WS Corp would inform a bookstore and a computer store and a robotics store and textbooks, and also machine translation for a press. And World University and School is anticipating all Google Translate languages. There are about 100 Google Translate languages, and all Wikipedia, Wikidata languages. There are about 300 languages in Wikipedia, Wikidata, and all known living languages, 7,111 known living languages, which we would like to create machine translation in an academic press for STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, for humanities, for arts, and also help further the growth of smallest languages in the process. So through the press on the WS Press Corp side, but also on the World University and School wing, having wiki schools planned in all 7,111 languages. So these two wings, the World University and School on the one hand, for Wiki, Best, STEM, Creative Commons 4, OpenCourseWare in its 5 languages, thinking MIT OpenCourseWare here, as we accredit on this for free to students online degrees, bachelor, PhD, law, medicine, IB high school, and develop the platform in Wikidata, Wikibase, and Google Education. And on the other hand, the WS Press side, the WS Corp side, an academic press with academic bookstores online, also in all 200 countries, and also in 7,111 known living languages. So these are the 2 topics for today, sort of the WS Press and Corp on the one hand, and World University and School on the other hand. And I'm hoping my friend whom I met from Stanford might still join us. Haven't heard from him at this after 10 a.m. time. He emailed at about 9:55 a.m. Would love to make these Hangouts more participatory. If you go back to the YouTube channel for World University and School, youtube.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH, you'll find a number of participatory Hangouts, one with a first matriculating class student, another with Nikolai Gaspar in Romania. The beauty of these participatory Hangouts is that a conversation can emerge. So let's see if my friend from Stanford joins us. It's possible he may be watching the live stream as well. So in developing these 2 wings, 1, World University and School, 2, the WS Press /Corp, World University and School seeks to develop in all 200 countries, official and main languages, for free to students degrees, and 2, to develop the WS Press Corp, also in all 200 countries, and 7,111 living languages with machine translation. And both would be in a Google for Education platform, a Wikidata in 300 languages, structured knowledge database, backend, WUaS, MediaWiki front-end platform, and also accrediting and building upon Best STEM CC4 OpenCourseWare in its 5 languages, and also Yale OpenYale Courses, also CC licensed. So those are the 2 wings of World University and School. It looks like Fritz is here. Hello, Fritz. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I see that you've joined the Hangout, Fritz. You just unmuted your microphone. Great. Do you want to say something? Hello, Fritz. I think you just unmuted your microphone. I think it's now possible to speak. When it becomes obvious how to navigate these technologies, please say something. perhaps we can develop a conversation about World University and School. I'm interested in your idea that I think you shared a little bit indirectly, that making it easy to join World University and School would be helpful. Ajit Mishra in West Bengal, India, has also shared that idea. How can people join World University and School? And that's something that will develop as our web platform develops. And in particular, at the main You at World University and School subject page area. Do you have ideas you want to share or questions you might have, Fritz? I see your microphone is now unmuted and you've been, looks like been toggling it, muted and unmuted. I still can't hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear me. So, in developing World University and Schools wings, both the wiki degree side and the academic press side in 200 countries and 7,000 languages, our pilot countries include China in Chinese, Spanish-speaking countries, including Mexico and Spain and South American countries, and some others as well, potentially German and French, and the United Nations languages. And Fritz is from Germany, and we might develop some interesting ideas in conversation here. Okay, great. Fritz just typed a text message in this Google group video Hangout, 10-person information technology in video. And that's an interesting place for conversation. I find it fascinating that in group video conferencing, there are 2 or 3 channels for communication. There's voice in the video group conferencing, there's group text, and there's also gesture in the video. And particularly the voice in the 10-person group video on the one hand and the group text chat offer a new avenue into conversation, because one person can be perhaps giving a lecture or a talk, and other people can be conversing about this, generating further ideas, as in a university situation a lecture was being given. That's a new approach even to the conference method of teaching and learning, or seminar, sitting around a table with a faculty member, often who's an expert, and engaging in a conversation about serious ideas, whether it be about a particular text or in one of the hard sciences. It's Fritz just typed something. His question is, what are the currently most intriguing challenges in translating into 7,111 plus languages? intriguing information technologically, it would be to build out of the Google Translate platform in ways that improve quality, as I see this. So Google translates in about 100 languages, and it's, as I understand it, end-to-end translation. You might have 3 languages on the one hand, go into the Google Translate program platform, and all be, in many ways, combined in that platform program, and then emerge out into any one language of the 3 that went in. So it's not one-to-one language translation in Google Translate. Instead, it's an end-to-end approach. And that opens up horizons for building on this system, which I think is one of the most advanced and also extensible into other languages, into the 7,000 other languages. Perhaps translating one-to-one would be an additional approach that could be built onto Google Hangouts. Another interesting information technological question with regard to translating into 7,111 languages is, where will the data come from? The lexicographical data in the remaining 7,000 languages, beyond the approximately 100 in Google Translate, and or beyond the approximately 300 in Wikidata, Wikibase, Wikipedia. And I think it would be in Wikidata that lexemes, which are parts of words or words, and various other units of words, both written as well as spoken, auditory, would emerge. So extending Wikidata 300 languages to 7,000 languages in terms of lexemes. And I don't know whether Google Translate draws on Wikidata for some of this data in its Google translation approach, but I think it might likely do so. And so building out Wikidata from its 300 languages to 6,900 languages further is yet another intriguing challenge. So to recap, maybe take Google Translate's initial fairly good translation system, and perhaps on top of that, build out one-to-one language translation. And secondly, build data resources in Wikidata for lexicographical information in the remaining languages from the existing 300. So those are ginormous data questions. But I also would just add one more idea that came to mind, and that would be how you would integrate the challenges of translating into 7,111 languages into a realistic virtual Earth with avatar bots. So I'm thinking Google Street View, with its time slider, Google Maps, Google Earth, Google Translate, Google TensorFlow, machine learning software, all integrated into this realistic virtual Earth so that you could see avatar bots talking with each other, and then perhaps add a translation aspect to these avatar bots talking with each other. That would indeed be intriguing. So, for example, in a realistic virtual Earth in the future, 5 years out or 10 years out, if you could bring in a film from the 1950s from YouTube, which is also Google, into this realistic virtual Earth, and let the actors in the YouTube film become 3D and interactive in this realistic virtual Earth, like in Second Life or in Open Simulator, could you, in this Google Street View with Second Life environment, with this film playing out now in 3D with interactive avatar bots, say the film was Children of Paradise, the French classic film, speaking in French, could one both, using a kind of Google Translate in Google Street View's Second Life environment, have this be translated so the avatar bots were speaking in English, and then also become interactive? So we as viewers could even begin to talk with individual avatar bot actors from Children of Paradise. Children of Paradise may have been made earlier in the 1920s or 1930s. I don't recall exactly. So it's in the sort of Google centric, realistic virtual Earth for everything, including translation, with avatar bots, with landscape and the places, every place in the world, that I think interesting new translations questions emerge. In a fourth idea in this Google Street View sort of landscape would be, if you were developing Google Street View, Google Maps, Google Earth for geological sciences, and you took video of a geological formation and added it to Google Street View in its right time period, and we're beginning to name the formations in English, could you translate them also with Google Translate Wikidata into another language that scientists or students could then learn from, add to? A fifth intriguing challenge with translation into 7,111 living languages from this wiki approach, this idea that you could add, that any of us can add data to Wikipedia, which mission is all known human knowledge, or that any of us can add data to Wikidata, is that we could add our own languages information, our own languages lexicographical data. Say I spoke a language where there were only 1 or 2 speakers left in the world. I think This is the case with the Cromarty dialect in northeastern Scotland. There may have been two brothers who spoke Cromarty Scots until a few years ago, and maybe one of these brothers died. A language definition being mutual intelligibility, so a dialect that's mutually intelligible by two is could be conceived of as a language. Could that one existing brother, in collaboration with linguists or anthropologists in Scotland, add data into Wikidata, Wikibase, Cromarty lexemes, Cromarty lexicographical data, and then thus make it available for others? And a sixth idea would be, could these avatar bots in a realistic virtual Earth, perhaps representing speakers of the Cromarty dialect around the year 1900, if there were a couple of hundred of them, then become interactive and even teachers of Cromarty dialect? So could the Cromarty dialect of Scots be regenerated through a growing lexicographical database in Wikidata, Wikibase, that was then engaged in Google Translate and Google Street View with Time Slider, with avatar bots, Google Maps, Google Earth, Google TensorFlow for machine learning, and then become interactive? Could we, I'm an anthropologist, could we even see how the speakers of Cromarty around the year 1900 lived and spoke? And subsequent data could be added to this from all different sources, this wiki idea. An obscure library in the Orkney Islands, far north of Scotland, might have a text in Cromarty from 1900, and out of that could grow further virtualization of both the language, but also potentially the ethnography of it in 1900, historical ethnography. And so these are 6 or 7 ideas for some of the intriguing challenges in translating into 7,111 living languages now in this virtual environment. Other questions or ideas, Fritz? Thanks for joining this conversation in text and also possibly in voice. I see your microphone is unmuted. It seems like you could speak if you want. Thoughts or questions in text or voice? Fritz writes in the text chat, exciting, these ideas around interactive avatar bots. How best could one make use of authentic, human, intuitive actions, reactions? Great question. So I think these Google Hangouts, 10-person group video, interactive Hangouts, could be the basis for making use of authentic human intuitive actions or reactions. You ask questions in text, but if you ask that in voice, I could then respond in voice. And furthermore, this Hangout could be, these Hangouts are recorded, typically to YouTube and the World University and School YouTube channel. And these hangouts of us two now in this hangout, although text is not saved on the YouTube recording that I've seen, but these hangouts, if you were live and interactive, could become the basis for a realistic virtual Earth with avatar bots. So you and I could become avatar bots in the 3D live interactive space of a Google Street View with avatar bots, kind of like Second Life. And then our interactions could become the basis for 3D authentic human intuitive actions when they became avatar bots. There's not yet an application that goes from YouTube into 3D interactive realistic virtual Earth with avatar bots. But this is a key application to write for World University and School. So there are about 100 years of film, and if all that film with documentaries and actors in other films that are not documentaries could become 3D, the authentic human intuitive actions and reactions in the documentary and in spontaneous film, a mass of data from YouTube and other film channels could become virtualized in a sense. So when that application from film, from YouTube's, from Vimeo into 3D interactive realistic virtual Earth, think Second Life, Open Simulator into Google Street View with Time Slider, where the little avatar in Google Street View called, I think, Pegman, typically down in the bottom left corner, grows and becomes realistic. That would make authentic human intuitive actions and reactions very interesting in terms of interactive avatar bots. It also becomes a new form of historiography around languages. We can interact with people speaking the Cromarty dialect from the 1920s in avatar bot, because only one speaker of Cromarty dialect lives nowadays, I think. Because they're films of people speaking the Cromarty dialect from the 1920s, and those become digitized and turned into avatar bot. And those films of 1920s Cromarty speakers are authentic human intuitive actions and reactions. Could we turn that into a kind of human intuitive action in avatar bots with 1920s speakers of Cromarty? So other questions or thoughts or ideas, Fritz? Yes, it's true. Fritz writes, that's a wonderful challenge. How to dynamically augment, reshape avatar bots interaction with additional perspectives. Endless new insights will emerge. Yes, avatar bots interaction with additional perspectives, but especially with additional data. Bringing evidence and data to avatar bots in 3D virtual worlds opens up all kinds of possibilities. I can only imagine in surgical situations of the past 5 or 10 years where surgery simulations are beginning to emerge for surgeons. So surgeons would now be looking at these simulations as they were doing surgery, that these simulations could be considered avatar bots, and that these simulations would be data-based. Video of a surgery into a kind of avatar bot for the patient receiving the surgery, and even at the street view level, but also possibly at the cellular level, probably not at the atomic level at this stage. And then these avatar bot videos, so video of a surgery 5 years ago into a kind of simulation which could be considered an avatar bot, could be used as further information for a hypothetical subsequent surgery happening in 3 months. So as a kind of avatar bot electronic medical record. And then translation-wise, if the surgeons were speaking as they were performing operations on these simulations or on people, which was becoming videoed and digitized, then could this be turned into translation data, the surgeons speaking about a medical procedure, and thus become something for teaching and learning as well. Say these surgeons were working in the English language on these simulations, on these avatar bots, on these patients being videoed. And this could be instructive to surgeons, medical students in Cambodia or in rural Brazil or rural Venezuela or rural Indonesia or Kenya or Nigeria or the Congo, in languages there that are spoken by the medical students, for example. So all of the building blocks for this already exist. We have Google Translate, we have avatar bots, we have surgery simulations. We don't necessarily have a robust project of going from video to 3D interactivity, avatar bots, virtual reality in a realistic virtual earth for surgery, or for anything else yet. And when we do, that will help knowledge generation a lot. Fritz says, amazing, Scott. I'm in touch with an emergency room expert who might be very interested in learning more about these virtual scenarios that include real experiences to improve overall performance, adapting to local situations. Great, Fritz. There's one resident at Stanford Medicine. His name is Ed Lee, who is a key voice in medical surgery for simulations. And he even has a Twitter feed. I'm pulling it up as we speak. Edmund _ Lee 12, Edmund _ Lee 12. And there are ideas on this Twitter feed which relate to this a little bit, but it's all within the context of a medical school and surgery. And I haven't seen anything about this on Twitter, for example, or at Stanford Medicine's Center for Digital Health, of moving into multiple languages. But I do think that Project Baseline, which is Google's and Stanford Medicine's and Duke University's emerging physical samples into data, mapping pathways to health, could be integrated with avatar bots and with Google Translate, even for surgery and avatar bot electronic medical records. So I'd invite your friend Fritz to perhaps begin to explore Stanford Medicine's Center for Digital Health, Project Baseline, and Ed Lee's Twitter feed as initial places. I'm no expert in surgery, but Stanford Medicine and Ed Lee's medical simulations for surgery would be interesting. There's another vice dean at Stanford Medicine, I'm forgetting his name right now, who might be very interesting for your friend Fritz to get in contact with. Ed Lee is a good starting point. It depends what questions might emerge, and I would think that it's the Center for Digital Health at Stanford Medicine, which is director is Bob Harrington, MD, who's the chair of Stanford Medicine, would be the best focus point. World University and School is a collaborator there, and it's possible your friend and acquaintance could add their name to the Center of Digital Health for Digital Health and become a collaborator of a sort as well, just as World University and School is part of the Center for Digital Health. I don't know if that's helpful, but that met at a recent Center for Digital Health, a young German guy, Marius, who is in Stanford Medicine for about 6 months. He might be a contact person as well for your friend if your friend is German. Those are some thoughts there. Other thoughts or questions, Fritz? It's an interesting communication process. Video, voice, text on my end, and text on Fritz's end, but Fritz is also there in the Hangout in a black box, but not using voice and not using his video. This YouTube will be saved and recorded at the youtube.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH channel. And thank you, Fritz, as well. Fritz writes, "Thank you, Scott. That's a great new opportunity to explore. And thank you, Fritz, for joining this Hangout. I think I'm going to bring this to a close at this point. And thank you so much for joining this Hangout and making it participatory. helping to develop a conversation. And I hope you and other people who might be interested will join these live Hangouts on air on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which I think is around 6 p.m. Universal Coordinated Time in Europe, Central Europe. And great. Looking forward to it, Fritz. Looking forward to furthering this conversation. I'm curious, I may be asking you questions as well about, I'm very interested in World University and School emerging in Germany for online medical degrees, online law degrees, online PhD degrees, online bachelor degrees, and online high school international baccalaureate degrees, and in the German language. So it would be great to be able to ask you about that as well, just your ideas in general. Wikidata, Wikibase, I think is based in Berlin. So in terms of both lexicographical data as well as sort of a center for the sort of structured knowledge database for World University and Schools so-called backend, but also Wikipedia's backend. There are interesting resources there too around exploring how, for example, World University and School might emerge also as a wiki in Germany. I'd also love to ask you about how to build engagement in Germany, in the German language, both on the wiki side and on the degree side and for the press and etc. So great. Look forward to seeing you further, talking with you, conversing with you in subsequent live Hangouts on air for World University and School. Fritz, thank you so much for joining. And bye for now as well. Till next time.